Excellent. Thank you everyone for being here for our final day in our Career Pathways Across the Disciplines event. We are super excited to be having 3 more amazing companies join us to talk about life at their organizations and what you can do to get yourself prepared. And so we'll start with brief introductions. I'll have each of the panelists introduce themselves and then give kind of a brief discussion of what their company is and what they do. And so I'm gonna go with first name alphabetical. So Amy, let's hear from you first, please.
Terrific, thanks. Hi everyone, Amy Branson. I'm part of Fidelity's University Talent team, sitting here in New England, and I've got the responsibility of helping the business partners. We're going to set the strategy for all of our college hiring offerings, really fueling talent to Smithfield, Rhode Island, Boston, and Merrimack, New Hampshire. We have a ton of common entry points for university students, both on the intern and full-time front. And in many of our opportunities, we are open to all majors. So a big reason for me being here today is students within the arts and sciences. We've got a lot of wonderful structured training programs and entry points that you'll learn more about later this afternoon. So thanks for having me.
Excellent, thank you. Catherine.
Hi, everyone. Thank you again. My name is Catherine Benedetto. I do internal operations at our search partners. So we are an executive recruiting firm. We specialize in accounting and finance. And just recently, about a year and a half ago, we brought on a corporate services team. So that's a lot of your front office, admin, HR work. This is, so great. We have a lot of, entry-level positions available in recruiting. I started at Arrow in August. My role is very new here. So, we're in rapid growing phases. We started in 2018, this post-COVID, career world is really crazy, as I'm sure Amy can kind of see as well at Fidelity. There's just a lot of opportunity out there. So, a lot of these, postgraduates are really going to have a lot of opportunity to kind of break into the corporate world. So, this is really great and can't wait to talk more about our opportunities.
Excellent. Thank you. Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim Pelzar, and with AdDaptive Intelligence, I'm really excited to be participating here today too. We are a digital marketing company based in Waltham, Mass, but we've also been open to hiring people more remotely in the broader New England area, given the remote nature of work these days. And I support the company from a human resources perspective. And I know we'll talk more about specific opportunities, but we hire quite often recent college grads who can grow their careers with AdDaptive. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Rachel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Mckay. I'm here from AdDaptive as well. Again, kind of echoing what Kim said, we are looking for entry-level employees. Current open positions are with our accounts team and our BDR team. I am a people operations manager here, so I will be your point of contact if we ever connect. And I look forward to being here as well. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. And so I'll start with an easier maybe question and ask each of you to describe what a general workday might be like at your organization, or maybe even in the specific roles that you're recruiting for.
Kat, you want to start on this one?
Yeah, I can start. So the recruiting world is quite interesting, and and as I said before, I just started in August, so it's been really quite an interesting learning curve, kind of seeing and diving into that. And so from an entry-level recruiter's perspective, you don't really have your Rolodex yet. So your first your day-to-day normally is going to be a lot of cold calling. So if you are interested in recruiting or getting involved in that, you have to have an interest in sales, and cold calling, picking up the phone. It's kind of a lost art, but it's really interesting, and it's kind of great to have, on your resume that you're still comfortable talking to people. Once you cold call and you're able to kind of get in touch with someone, a lot of it is talking through the jobs that we have. We probably have about 1,000 open jobs right now, all, spanning around the country. A lot more companies are open to remote, which is really great. In New York, a lot are getting back to the office as well. So, it's a lot of screening, making sure who you're talking to, has the qualifications, they are open in the market. Sometimes it's convincing them to want to be active in the market, which is kind of an art as well. A lot of these candidates aren't necessarily active yet. And so, once you kind of go through that initial phase of, cold calling, screening, even in mailing on LinkedIn, you kind of set them up as your own candidate. And then it kind of goes into the scheduling of actual interviews. Some people can have up to about 5 a day, especially right now in this market. We even had someone have about 7 where they had to take off the entire day. But it's really great because those candidates are able to see a lot of different companies, and they have their choice right now, which makes it easier for you as a recruiter. To tell them that this market, you're able to have the choice as to kind of where you want to go. And so, in that sense, you also have to have a really great understanding in the roles, and what you're selling. And then a lot of also what the job is prepping them for those interviews, a really great communication. And then at the end, you submit an offer to them. And you also try and convince them as to where to go. If it's one offer and it may not be their top place they want to go to, you kind of want to talk to them and really feel out, why that's a good move for you and for your career and what it'll do for your resume. So it's a lot of career counseling as well. We kind of say your candidate's therapist. You really want to know what's driving them into wanting to move to that job or that career. And, you're working with people, so you also kind of have to have a thick skin. We've had people who accepted an offer and the next day they said, what, it's not a great time. And you kind of have to feel those things out and really have a great communication, skill set as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, in its most basic form, that's recruiting. And, in an entry level position with us, we have a really great, we have you partner with our directors. So our training is, about 3 or 4 weeks. So you don't need to have any experience in accounting and finance or corporate services. And all of our entry level recruiters did not have any experience. So we do have a really great training program for that. And even a lot of our most seasoned recruiters really didn't have a start in accounting and finance. You really just have to learn the basics and really just, understand buzzwords and career paths. And you really kind of just learn that by being in the room and talking to the directors and learning. And, it's really a great role if you want to start working with people though.
Right.
And I'll pass it on, I guess. Yep. Unless there's questions you think I should continue to ask or answer.
No, if Amy wants to go, I think Amy can take it away.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I'm going to focus on some of our biggest hiring efforts happening now, which is going to be the customer focused and the relationship management roles, right? So for any of the students listening, we have other entry points into the organization that really work across all functional areas. But I think if I'm going to give one example, I'll go with the customer focused because it is our newest sort of expansion into existing Smithfield, Rhode Island. We actually had a big ribbon cutting ceremony last month with the governor, and we've announced 850 additional full-time jobs Many of those will be fueled by college students. So to start, we're talking about that general workday. Students would come into really a structured training program. It's about 20 weeks in duration. So you're full-time day one. And our learning and development team is really talented. They're going to guide you through the business that we are in the world of financial services. And one of the reasons that we're really open to students with all majors is we're very confident that we can teach you the business of financial services, because you're going to come to the table with some other skills, right? In some cases, we're going to need you to have sort of wearing that empathy card, right? You're dealing with customers. Other places, you're going to have empathy in the helpers, but then you're going to have that curiosity and that solving side, and those critical skills, critical thinking skills kind of come into play. So we're going to guide our customers. So at some point when you finish this training program, you're going to earn some of your FINRA licenses, and you're going to have sort of a really robust toolkit to guide Fidelity customers. And you're going to be taking inbound calls, and you're going to guide them with their most pressing questions about some of their financials. So it could include trading, it could include money movement, it could include some of their activities for savings. But you're going to be that relationship manager to the 30 million Fidelity customers that seek to do business with us by they're going to make that inbound call to you. That's a common entry point into the organization. It's a role that, we see people come in and grow and thrive. That's a starting point in their journey. And really after maybe 18, 20, 24 months, you're really growing in the organization. There's going to be other roles within that large division where you keep those licenses and you keep growing vertically within that division. But then there's also other places in the company where you're going to grow up and sort of out into other roles. So if you come to us with an English or a communications background, maybe over time you have your eye on that communications associate role, right? You're going to be a real strong candidate for that type of role because you bring that academic side with you and the strength of your curriculum. But now you have, the 18, 20 months of understanding our business and what the customers are asking for. And you're going to be a much stronger candidate to tell that story and write about it or handle the social media channels and platforms as well. So just a couple of examples about coming in and then certainly the growth.
Excellent. Kim, how about AdDaptive?
So I'll speak to one of the opportunities and then Rachel can speak to the other. We're hiring entry level into a couple of different areas. One is in account management, which Rachel will speak to, and the other is on our sales team. And actually what Kat was saying about their sales type positions in recruiting, it's similar. So the business development representative role is really about reaching out to prospective clients, business to business, and developing relationships so that ultimately the entry level position refers prospective clients to a more experienced representative to actually follow through with prospecting and sales. We shifted gears about a year ago from hiring more experienced salespeople to hiring entry level so that we can really give people with all different backgrounds, similar to what I've heard from others. We're not looking for someone from a specific major in school. So it could be anybody that is really interested in potentially having a career in sales. And the whole first year is really focused on growing people in that role to give them skills on just emailing prospective clients, telling the AdDaptive story, really feeling comfortable with what we do and how we can add value to clients. And they work specifically with a more experienced account executive through the first year to really get them up to speed. And the goal is that within a year, the person is promoted into an account executive role, and that they start to have their own book of business. And the growth opportunities on the sales team are really significant. We have a number of senior leaders in sales who started in junior positions and worked their way up based on their successes. So it's really a combination of working internally across the team to develop skills and then working with prospective clients. So a lot of communication. And we look for people who are really interested in reaching out and developing new relationships and who are resilient, who are okay with no sometimes, because that's what most people in sales, need to be comfortable with. But it can be a really fulfilling opportunity for people. And Rachel, do you want to speak to the account management opportunity?
Yeah, so another opportunity that we currently have open is on our account management team. It's an account coordinator. Basically, in that role, you're kind of learning the inner mechanisms of how the company works. You're kind of the point person for clients. You're also working with our sales team. You're also working internally with the other members of the account management team. So there's a lot of collaboration in this role. You're working on the clients' campaigns, and our clients are agencies and publishers. So we're working on their ad campaigns across the display. You're looking at the delivery of these campaigns, you're optimizing these campaigns, you are setting up meetings with these clients to help educate them on how their campaigns are doing. You're also kind of like working alongside like a senior rep or a senior account manager to learn how to speak to all this. So training for an account coordinator is probably about 3 months until you're really comfortable leading calls and kind of taking over the reins for a client. This position, we're really looking for people who are interested in the programmatic space. We're looking for people who have a lot of energy, a lot of collaboration skills, teamwork skills. You're able to communicate well, and people who just want to learn and grow within the industry that's ever changing. So that's a little bit about the account coordinator role. I could go like down a rabbit hole, but that's kind of like the gist of it.
Great, thank you. And so, obviously our students are going to be at all levels, whether they're, freshmen, sophomore, juniors thinking about internships or seniors thinking about graduation. So, as they're prepping for the application process, for the interview process, what are some things that they should be keeping in mind, and what should they be doing to best prepare themselves for these various roles?
So I'll take that. I mean, I think part of preparing for any discussion is that self-reflection. It's that sense of who you are. And it's going to be a sense of a few things, right? You're going to hear that you should sort of have your story or your pitch or your little talk track down, because it shows that you've thought about who you are. But bigger than that, we want students, I guess, if we step back from what are the right things for the student to say, if employers are committed to, looking at university talent, number one, they typically have folks in the roles that are just as passionate about hiring and attracting university students. So, we're cheering for the students, right? We're rooting for them to bring their best self forward. While we may ask some behavioral-based questions, we're not trying to trick or get students into kind of a got you moment. We want them to be able to put themselves best self forward. And university recruiting teams are really looking for evidence and confidence to get them in front of the hiring managers, right? We just need the students to come to the discussions, whether they're thinking about past work experience, and I don't mean corporate work experience or past internships. I just mean experience, whatever those hourly jobs were, the work, whatever examples come to mind for them, it's typically their best example. So it's not they may have past internship experience to draw upon some of those examples. That's wonderful. But otherwise, they may be thinking of the first example that might come to mind about engaging with a customer could be that customer-focused job in retail, in the restaurant industry. That's probably their strongest example, and it is going to be their most impactful. Bring it forward. When they think about their time in the classroom, they're going to be able to pull for examples of individual work they did that might have required critical thinking or analytical skills. And then they're going to be able to show their range through classwork or clubs or volunteer stuff where they were involved in a larger team setting and contributing sort of to the community. So I think, for coaching students, which is something I'm certainly passionate about, it is just really reflecting, think about who they are and their sort of persona, having their kind of roster of examples, having them have sort of their resume, and then sort of a talk track about what are those strong examples that best reflect them, and being ready to share those with the employers.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'd love to kind of add on to that, what Amy was saying. I think, it's really great. None of your past experience, whether it was, on a sports team or in an internship, if you had one, or just in a class, like that's all important. So don't forget that. Definitely bring that forward. Your group projects, that shows teamwork. So I encourage everybody to kind of just reflect on what their experience was, but I also encourage people to really do the research on the job that they're applying for. So if you're just sending out applications and you get into a phone screen and you don't have any idea about what you're actually interviewing for, that kind of shows the person that, you might not be very interested in the role. So that's a missed opportunity for you. So I really encourage everyone to look at what they're applying for, read about the company, get whatever information you can that's on their website. There might be blog posts, and bring that with you. So the better prepared you are, you can kind of also relate your experiences with what they're asking for in the company. And also just be yourself, and go in there with confidence, because that's what people are looking for, and if you're not very confident, that's okay. Just be yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really great. I mean, especially with some of our entry-level positions, we're in the office 5 days a week. It's a very open floor plan. Our culture is, we want you to come in and work collaboratively. We want you to want to grow as well. And I think that's, finding a company that wants you to grow is really great. And I think doing the research on the companies that have that ability is really important. So, when you are looking at these positions, making sure that the company fits what you're looking for as well. Arrow, if you like helping people, that's exactly what we do. We help people make, career changes, and some of them are really life-changing as well. Someone going from public accounting, making maybe 70,000 a year, can go into private and make 90,000. I mean, and could work from home or something. That could be life-changing, especially if they're an expected mother or, anything like that. So, you want to find these jobs that, really hone in on not just like, what you're specifically looking for in a career, but, what attracts you, as a person and as an individual. And, I did sports, all of us did sports or some sort of team environment. So, you really want to be able to find that culture and that environment that will also, hone into some of those, really personal attributes, and not just, the technical skills as well. The technical skills can be taught, especially in an entry-level position. So, you really want to find entry-level jobs that, will help cater to the personal skill sets that you want to have.
And I would just say, so good points by everyone. And I think similarly, I always ask people, what are the key criteria that are really important to you? And I try to find out when I speak to people about opportunities, what drives them and where have they really felt successful? And, are they interested in working on this self-reflection that Amy mentioned? Like, in your role, do you want to work individually as an individual contributor? Do you want to work on a team? What kind of culture do you feel like has worked for you, even if it's in a customer, selling ice cream? Like, what kind of culture, based on your experience, do you think you'd really thrive in? And then as far as the role goes, are you going to be doing things that you're excited about? Because those things come across when you're talking to companies. You can tell when you're interviewing someone if they're really excited about the opportunity, whether it is related to the role, the company, or the culture of the company. And, Tatum asked to talk about the culture, like at AdDaptive, the culture is really collaborative. You have to work with other colleagues in order to be successful. You'll also work with clients, and it's very transparent and open. And so if you want a role where you have to work with other people, where you're not just an individual contributor, you can do really well there. So hopefully that's helpful.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely helpful. And so, yeah, let's focus on workplace environment. So, what is the company culture? What's the physical workplace environment like?
I can just speak to AdDaptive, and then Rachel, if I'm missing anything, just jump in. So our culture is one of the things that really differentiates AdDaptive as an employer. With COVID, we have had challenges where we've had to use different strategies because we're not going into the office every day. And people are working remotely. So Rachel and I are working really closely on different types of virtual things that we can do to keep people connected, because the connectivity of the team is something that people really, really value. So in addition to people doing their regular jobs where they work with their teams, we're also always looking for opportunities to get people to connect across departments so people feel connected to the whole company. And there are opportunities to get involved with things like volunteering in the community. We have a book club that people participate in if they're interested. We try to find different opportunities in addition to just roles so that people get some fulfillment besides doing their role and feeling like they're getting fulfilled in the work that they do. Rachel, is there anything else regarding AdDaptive?
I feel like you really hit on everything there. Just adding on to sort of like the culture, like initiative wise, we have a lot of employee founded initiatives in the company. One great thing about AdDaptive is that we are relatively small. We're under 100 employees. So it's exciting when we have people who have that entrepreneurial spirit that want to come in, that want to make a difference. They want to do their job, but maybe they have interest in something else. We had somebody start a fantasy football league this year. We had somebody do a book club, as Kim mentioned. We have people looking at different areas to start initiatives and kind of like just create the culture of AdDaptive, because it is still relatively small. So your impact is huge, whether it's on your day-to-day role or if it's looking at other opportunities within the company to start something new. And then currently, like our working environment, we are remote. But I know a lot of people are looking forward to getting back in person. So we've been remote since March of 2020, and everyone's been collaborating well, but we do miss seeing each other in person. So that organic culture is a little bit different as we've had to pivot for the times we're in.
Yeah, go ahead, I'll follow you.
Sure. So, Arrow, so we have probably just under 30 employees. So we are a very small team. 25 of us are in New York, and we are in the office 5 days a week, and we love it. We really enjoy being, we're all friends, we all like to, go to happy hours after. We work in a co-working space, so we have a gym on site. We have free snacks, which is great, but also terrible. We have people on Long Island who come into New York. If you're from Long Island, you can go to Long Island, on Fridays. So, we are in the office, but we really enjoy it. And you kind of have to be, your day-to-day kind of changes on the hour. So, that is one thing to note. If you are looking for remote, that's not something that we kind of offer, unless it's a one-off. But, our culture, we have happy hours all the time. We went to a Yankee game as a company outing a couple weeks ago. We've done bowling, we've done, if you're into golf, we've done tennis, depending on what your, activities or your interests are, there's someone in the office willing to kind of want to work with you that way. And, a lot of these, entry-level folks as well, we kind of try and take them under everyone's wing. If you have an issue with one of your candidates, or you want to talk through, a scenario, every everyone kind of puts in their 2 cents because it is an open floor plan. And so you learn that way. You learn how to talk to a candidate or a client, and that's also part of the experience as well. So being in the office is very important, but our culture here is really one of the best things, and it's why I even came to Arrow. It's really great, and everyone wants you to grow, personally and professionally.
And then, so I often have students kind of think about that journey, right? Because this is another big chapter for them. So the last time they really had to think this way was when they were a high school student and they were touring colleges. And when they were touring colleges, they need to think about why URI. What was it? Was it the academic offerings? Was it the setting? Was it the location, right? What was it that made URI the right choice for them? And then as they go through their job search, they need to prioritize what's important to them. We can't kind of tell them what's important to them. They need to sort of have some of those attributes and those sentiments of what's important to them. For me, when I introduced myself, I didn't sort of lead in. So culture is a huge piece of, Fidelity sort of DNA. I've spent my entire professional career here, 25 years and counting. So I had a sense of myself that I went to UMass Amherst, so large public school, URI, larger public school. And you sort of have those decisions that you need to make. And I felt like I could swim at UMass at a big school. And so I feel like if you're a student that can sort of thrive at URI, a larger public institution, do you think you can thrive at a larger public firm, a larger privately held firm? We're a large employer. We have over 50,000 associates. But there are so many ways that you can make a larger company feel small, similar to making a large school feel small. It's about the way you engage. I feel like relationships are at the center of Fidelity, and the internal relationships that you build really do matter, because you're going to build that trust. You're going to build those friendships. You're going to build that sort of collegial piece where folks move around our organization, and you're going to bump into those folks physically and virtually as you go and grow in your career here. We're hiring you not just for a job, it's really for your career so that you can grow. So inside the culture, well, how do you make it feel like it, reflects you? We've got about 10 different affinity groups, employee resource groups, tremendous, membership base. Those are sort of communities within communities, but also a high level of allyship, right? To support one another, to listen and learn about other communities. We also have that real strong sense of being great neighbors in the communities where we live and work. So that really happens sort of top down from Abby Johnson, and then for the actual associate. So volunteerism, as others have mentioned, it's a huge piece of Fidelity. You could find yourself, at an offsite, right, with a team-based building exercise. But more and more during the pandemic, we've had skill-based impact weeks where you're volunteering and you might get matched to a particular nonprofit based on your skills. And so that's been very sort of powerful, because folks were certainly craving that volunteerism, the connection with other peers, the connection to our communities. And working at a privately held company, it really lets us retain sort of that innovative and entrepreneurial spirit in how we invest in our employees, our benefits, our tools, our technologies, and what we need to do to be successful in serving our customers.
Excellent. Thank you all.
Sure.
And so I was thinking, there's such a very different, variety of organizations. And then, Kim, you and I have talked about, AdDaptive is constantly hiring. Amy, you announced, at Fidelity, nearly 1,000 brand new openings coming. And then Kat, considering that your company could grow in the future, but also such a weird hiring time to be in, and Arrow has to stay nimble. So because our students could be listening in now or checking us out on the YouTube channel at any point during their career, freshman to to senior to maybe even some of our graduate students, where do you think your organizations are going, maybe 5 or 10 years out? Because they might not be ready to graduate, but they might be concerned about what could be happening when they are ready to graduate.
Yeah, I can start with that. I mean, something that's, interesting with Arrow, and I think really any recruiting firm is, if you have an interest in it, we hire on a rolling basis. If it's something that you're interested in, if it's something that you want to dabble in, we welcome, resumes really whenever, so that's something that's really nice about recruiting is it's flexible, and it's really when you want to get your feet wet. So if it's, in a year from now and, you weren't ready, or you're a sophomore or a junior and you're seeing this, and this is something that's always kind of been on your mind, I absolutely welcome you to come back to us in a year. And I'm going to tell you, we'll probably be 45 or 50 in a year. We're hiring very rapidly. We've had about 5 or 6. Well, this year, I would say we probably had about 8 new hires. And we're hiring 2 more in the next 2 months. So, we're in a rapid growing phase. There's so many jobs out there right now. Everyone is swimming, so there's a lot of money to be made as well as recruiters. So if you kind of want that, untapped cap and salary, and you want to work hard every single day, and, definitely reach out whenever you want. And even if you want to start the conversation now and you want to learn more about recruiting, I can absolutely set you up with our recruiters to kind of speak a little bit more about what the world in recruiting is. They all love speaking about it. They want everyone to get involved in it. It's really not such a scary word. And I've learned that as well, being here, that, they can help out a lot of people. And I think, and internally roles will kind of be popping up as well as we grow. So I would say reach out when you feel the time is right, whenever that is.
I'll jump in. I would say AdDaptive has grown significantly. I don't know the number off the top of my head for this year, but Rachel, I want to say we've hired, for our size, we have about 70 employees, but we hired like 20 in 2021. We'll probably have between 10 and 15 between now and the end of 2022. So there's definitely a trajectory in the growth of the company, because there's a big opportunity in our industry right now. There's a lot of value to add, but I think for these types of positions, we're always going to have openings, because if we're doing a good job, then our entry-level employees that we've hired right out of school are growing into the next roles. So, we do promotions in the summer and at the end of the year. And hopefully we're having account coordinators and business development reps that we talked about promoted both of those times of year, and we'll continuously need to fill positions that because of those promotions. So I think to Kat's point, at any time, we would encourage people to reach out. And we haven't taken down the posting for either of these roles in the last 2 years. So
Yeah, and I'll just close out this particular topic. So I think, within Fidelity, the way in which our customers want to do business with us, those customer focused and relationship management roles are certainly here to stay. Technology, AI, that's here to stay. How we harness it and ultimately make for a better customer experience, we're always working to do that. And then the other things that are sort of here to stay and then going to continue to have continued focus are going to be our product offerings, right? ESG and socially responsible investing. We're in this space, we're deeply in this space, but we know that that's going to continue. We're going to continue to attract our emerging and young investors, sort of that next generation of investor. We want to be their trusted source, right? We want them to be relying on us to give them the guidance that they need. And so I would say those are some things that are certainly here to stay. And then within the culture, I think we'll probably get a little bit closer to maybe one of the questions later, but related to diversity and inclusion. So we can talk about that later, but those are some things that are already in flight, here to stay, but that we're certainly keeping our eye on as an organization.
Excellent. And actually, Amy, if you want to just kind of keep going, we have another question. Do you see your employees staying long-term within the company? Obviously, you said that you have, but what's that like for any incoming new hire?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the first 4 months are going to go by pretty quickly. If you're in one of these customer focus roles, you're in a structured training for about 20 weeks. There's wonderful energy. You're going to be in sort of a classroom setting with peers, right? I think there's something really special about being around sort of your peers early in your career and having access to mentors and trainers and coaches to give you that confidence, because everyone on this call, we know it's a transition from university to the workforce. We know that. So things that we can do to support. And then absolutely, does any employer see folks sort of, I guess the word is attrit, within their first year? Yes, that happens. But the large majority come and stay. They're working hard, they're contributing, they're satisfied with their work-life balance, their compensation, the rewards, the benefits, and then they know that potential sort of career mobility and the continued learning, they're not going to get stale. They are going to have those opportunities. So my observation is, yes, the folks that are early in career that come with Fidelity, if they share sort of a common value set, both personally and professionally, they're the ones that are going to, I'll say the word, stick and thrive.
Yeah, I'll kind of jump off that as well. I mean, obviously, since we're still very new, our new employees are still with us probably for only about 6 months or so. But because we have such a great training program, especially if they're just starting out with us, post-grad, we want them to be able to stay here. I mean, it's better for us as well if we have long-term employees, because they get to understand who we are, what we want, in the future. And so making sure that they have all the necessary, needs and requirements in order to grow at this company, we provide that. And so, obviously we have had some people leave, but that's kind of just the world we're living in right now as well. But, all of our new employees are really thriving. They really love it. They love the culture. They love what they're doing. And they love that they're able to kind of reach out to anyone in order to grow and learn something new. And, that's what's keeping them here, is that.
I'll jump in. So we have strong retention at AdDaptive. I think a lot of it is because there's so much growth opportunity as a small, if small is what you think might work for you. We have a couple of people on our leadership team who started in roles similar to the roles that we have open right now. So there's a good history of seeing people grow from, entry level up the career ladder. And we do have career ladders for each of the areas up to vice president of, like the vice president of our marketing team and our accounts team both started in entry level account coordinator roles. And the other piece is Rachel actually started on our accounts team, and now she's in people operations. So we have, when we see really good talent, if people are interested in pursuing a different track, they have that opportunity, because there's always the opportunity to grow. So it could be across function, or it could be, in the same area. But if people are really looking for a place to grow and thrive, they stay at AdDaptive. And of course, there are challenges right now across the country in terms of, people leaving, the great resignation, but we haven't really felt it significantly at AdDaptive.
Yeah, just to add on to that. So I've been with the company for almost 4 years. 3.5 of my years were on the accounts team, and there is so much growth in the accounts team, but I was able to identify that I wanted to kind of explore something different. My skills aligned somewhere else. And so Adaptive has kind of created this space that allows for these multi-track career paths. So if we find that, you're a hard worker, you're doing what you need to do, but you're not thinking that, the typical growth of whatever role you're in is for you, your support team, your managers, your directors, they're there to kind of guide you during your check-ins. So we have quarterly check-ins with employees, and that's where we kind of do a pulse check. How's everything going? How are you feeling? Is there anything we can do for you to make sure that you're growing in the way that you want to in your career? So that's something I've always loved, and that's kept people at Adaptive, I feel, and also has had some employees try to come back. So the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but I will say Adaptive does a great job at promoting growth within the company and finding areas for you and your skills to grow into. I just saw another question come in. Are we happy I'm happy in my job. Yeah, I think kind of just like what I said, there's so many jobs out there. And when you find a company that is loyal to you, you know that, and you become loyal to the company. Not only are the benefits great at Adaptive, but it's also the community of Adaptive. The people we work alongside, the people we collaborate with. It's a very I want to say like a family, but at the same time it is work, so it is professional. But I will say that I'm definitely happy in my job. My account positions, I wasn't not happy, but I just knew that I had more to offer, and I knew that I wanted to make a difference in the community that I was working in. So I seeked other opportunities for myself, but I am definitely happy in the company. So that's my experience.
I think that's a great question. So if anyone else would like to talk about, happiness in their jobs and what their experience has been, and maybe what kind of nudged you to where you are.
Yeah, I can jump in there. I absolutely love my job. I've been here since August, and it's been absolutely great. A little bit of my background, I was doing economic development for the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, and unfortunately did get laid off during COVID because there wasn't economic development to be had. And, part of our budget is, through the government. And so all those funds were redirected. So I had about 1.5 years off, and I really wouldn't have taken that, it was the best 1.5 years ever, because, I was able to really dig deep into what I wanted to do. And, I was someone that never had, a specific plan as to what I wanted. I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to be, anything very strict. And so I kind of had that flexibility, which can be kind of a negative, but also a positive. And so, I got this role through my neighbor, who's a recruiter here. I've always had an interest in operations. I was on the rowing team. I was captain. I loved delegating, all my teammates. And, I kind of had to be creative in what that meant. And so, I came to Arrow to be interviewing to be a recruiter, and they actually brought this role, internal operations, to me, which, fits seamlessly in my lap. And it's actually, where I wanted to be eventually. And so, it's been great because, it's still such a young firm. It's the first internal operations role here. And so the growth trajectory for me is really what drove me into accepting this job. There's going to be so much opportunity to kind of grow the team. And, that was a big thing for me. I just wanted to be happy 10 years in the future. I didn't have a specific kind of destination. And so, I think that's something to look for. It's okay not to know what you want to do. I think, getting creative and looking for certain things like that, that's a big thing that I would say to graduates.
And certainly a high happiness factor over here. I absolutely love working at Fidelity, and I echo what my colleague said. There are reasons that you find that sort of stickiness and what makes you tick. I've hired thousands of folks into the organization in my career at all different levels, but there is something special to me about the university space and being able to sit here in New England and set the strategy and really make those decisions about where Fidelity is going to invest their time and resources in attracting students. I've really loved the past year and a half because I get to bring the outside in. I get to work with career teams. I'm meeting sort of my professional colleagues that have just as much passion and commitment to the students. And so that's certainly energizing. And, you know, you've got now sort of multiple parties cheering for the students, both on the employer and within the career teams.
Great. And Kim, would you like to add to that?
Sure. I mean, I love working with adaptive and human resources. And I would say, I think, because I think one of the questions is around this and our personal experiences. And I think just as a student, I think it's good to know that it's okay to try different things out too, based on your experience and your background, and learn from those experiences. You can't be sure. When I look back at when I was 21, going into a profession, like I really didn't know what would work for me. And so my career has been different experiences over time that I feel like I learned something from each of them. And, you know, I think being happy in a role and in a company, a lot of it is your perspective on it. And, you know, are you excited about the work that you're doing? And is it the right place for you in terms of getting the support that you need and feeling like you have growth opportunities? And I think that's definitely the case at Adaptive for sure. But I think learning over time, you realize, and some people stay in the same role. Like you said, Amy's saying you probably have changed roles over the 25 years you've been at Fidelity. So it's nice to be somewhere where you can shift gears if you need to. But it's important, I think, going into a professional job to know that you don't have all the answers right away, and you'll learn throughout your career what works best for you.
That's great. Thank you all so much. So we're getting to the 1 p.m. mark. So I will close this moderated panel out by saying thank you all so much for being here and for participating. This has been wonderful to get your perspectives and hear what you have to say to our students. So any final thoughts or pieces of advice you'd like to get out there before we close out for the day?
I would just invite your students to connect with us on LinkedIn, right? If they're looking for a resource at any of our firms, I would think, I'll speak for Fidelity, you know, please connect with me on LinkedIn, step forward on our student landing page. Great content there for you to get a stronger sense of those entry-level intern and full-time roles. And then I'll just turn it over to my colleagues.
I would just like to mention one thing. I did get a little message that said some people were having some trouble with the link to attend. So just so that our presenters know, we will be sharing it on our YouTube channel, and I'll do my best to reach out to those students who were registered but maybe weren't able to get in, and just connect with them so that they can view it on YouTube.
Sure.
Oh, technology. Thank you.
One last thing I'll say as well is, really using your network, especially, going into graduation and everything, try to just talk to as many people as you can and getting a sense for what they do. I mean, maybe there's one thing about their job that you really like, but not everything. And so, I think really just having those conversations, I didn't do that enough. And I do wish I did. And I use my network to get this job. And that's really what it is, really finding people that you can talk to and have those honest conversations. And, one thing can lead to the next, and you never know. And just to have patience and have conversations. Yeah.
I'll just add, echoing both Amy and Kat, connect with us on LinkedIn, use your network. And also one piece of advice is when you're in your interview stages, definitely see if you're connecting with the person viewing you, because that is going to be a reflection of the culture and the people that work in that company. So I encourage you to just definitely take note on that. But thank you everyone for having me join this. I enjoyed speaking to you all, and I look forward to seeing some connections on LinkedIn.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So Christy, I think we can stop the record.